So this idea of why people is something I've been passing around since college, about 10 years ago. When I was there, my college really focused on asking the right questions in order to get the right answers. Why is something that I spent a lot of time studying. I was in psychology mostly, and so all of the people were answering why. Why are people doing what they're doing? Why are they behaving the way they're behaving? And why are they continuing to do those things even when it doesn't make any sense? I also spent a lot of time studying people, like I said. It was psychology. It's how all this stuff actually affects you in your daily life. We all know that people are all around us. We all know that they can have a profound impact on us. But as I started my career in marketing, it's interesting that we're all trying to attract people. We're all trying to gain attention. The question is, how are you doing that? I came up on stage and demanded your attention immediately. People are always doing that. But unfortunately, it comes down to ROI. You have to graph that out. You have to know what value you're getting out of how you're affecting those people and how you're gaining attention. It's interesting in the business world, as I seek to find attention for different brands, when all that they care about is ROI. Inbound marketing is all about affecting those people by providing value. So why? Value to people. It's interesting to me that we all have this idea that we want to be a certain type of person or that we want to be affecting other people. Now, we're all different kind of people and we're all asking different questions. So how are we going to actually affect those people correctly? When I was in college, I studied this guy, Hopkins. Now, he was a poet and he spent most of his time looking at nature and then describing it. He came up with these two ideas, inscape and instress. And the definitions are going to come up in a second. But basically, inscape is essentially you and what makes you up, and in stress is how other people experience that. So we all have this thing that makes us up, but the question is, how do other people actually interpret that? Is it consistent with the way we want it to be, or is it different? That's the main question. Why? Second person that kind of stood out to me was this guy, Harry Frankfurt, in this book, On Truth. In that book, Baruch Spinoza said, every individual strives to be what it most essentially is. And the thing is that this doesn't happen on accident. We kind of just do it, you know? And so as we're affecting other people, I would ask you to look at ways that you can do that in the most natural way. So we all have this kind of censored version of ourselves, and we all want to move forward and get people to see the uncensored version of ourselves. So what does it mean to be human? Freud talked about it, Darwin talked about it, naturalists talked about it, and we all define what it means to be human in different ways. So, nowadays, we have this idea, and don't get me wrong, I work in social media, but we all focus on this thing veneer, right? We put the best picture of ourselves forward at all times. We don't often let people know that there's shit going on beyond just the veneer. We don't let people know the real us. And we have this idea of culture. Right? We all want to take selfies. We all want to be, known. And when Ellen does it, everyone else is going to do it, right? So why wouldn't we get involved in this when this is the language of culture? Focus on me. Focus on the good part of me, not the bad stuff that's going on. This happens in all of us. We, here in Chattanooga, we have this idea that the entrepreneurial community is awesome. And it is awesome. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of people supporting us. But this happens in everyone's life. When you question why and you don't get that answer right, this happens. But we have the choice. This guy, he's a public speaker, has no arms, no legs, and you can either be this guy on the left or you can either be this guy on the right. He's affecting people. He's chosen to take his inscape, what he is naturally and what's happened at this point in his life, and affect people instead of being on that side. Now, this is a shocking image. But the question is, what is the perspective that these people have? Is it a perspective that helps other people? Is it a perspective that pushes other people forward in a positive way? Or have they answered the question why in an extremely negative way that affects our world? Not just there, here. And so we find ourselves looking at the news asking, why people? Why do we do this? Why do we constantly live in a world where there's anger, why there's damage to other people on purpose, why there's death and war? Why is that a world that we choose to live in when we all have the ability inside of us in that inscape to express something different, These are different separations. We choose to do that. We choose to segregate ourselves because we see differences in each other instead of bringing ourselves together and bringing all that into a whole that creates something better and a picture that can be better if we choose to make it better. These are things that separate us. Instead of that, I hope that we can all work towards this white frame where we're all on the same level, where we don't look at each other based on the identity that we think that person is, but we're aware enough to look at their inscape and their in-stress and say, what is that person mostly doing? What makes them up? And then how does that affect people, and how does that affect me? So why are we here? Again, that's a question that I've been taught to ask for a long, long time. Why are we here? I think we're here to affect each other. We're here to do it in a positive way and not a negative way, but we can make that choice. Which way are you choosing to affect people? I hope it's in a positive way. So, again, intentionality. What direction are you going? What project, whatever you're doing, is it a positive in someone's life, or is it just something you go to have success? Is it something that you want attention for? Is it something that you want other people to say, man, that's the shit? No. How is it helping somebody, and is it benefiting them in a good way? In order to do that, we have to have balance. Mind, spirit, soul, and body. If you're not doing these well, these pillars, the rest of your life is going to crumble. It's a balance thing. If any one of these is out of whack, it's not going to work. So I stress to you guys, balance. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure you're doing things well, and make sure you're taking time to help yourself grow. Have a good one.